When Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan abruptly signed the Mecca Joint Defence Agreement, the geopolitical shockwaves were immediate. You have the financial engine of the Middle East, a Eurasian military powerhouse, and South Asia's nuclear-armed wildcard linking arms on paper. Look at the raw inputs of this diagram. If you combine Saudi Arabia's massive capital reserves, Turkey's advanced military technology, and Pakistan's raw manpower and nuclear status, the resulting equation is incredibly intimidating. Unsurprisingly, the media immediately branded this convergence of powers an Islamic NATO. For New Delhi, this instantly raised a massive red flag. The concern was that Islamabad might interpret this treaty as a free pass to sponsor cross-border terrorism against India. If India were to launch a retaliatory counterterrorism strike into Pakistani territory, the fear was that this new legal framework could drag Ankara and Riyadh into a sprawling multi-front war. Suddenly, the basic math of self-defense in South Asia seemed completely rewritten. The perceived risks and costs of protecting the border appeared far higher than they were just days prior. But if we look past the headlines and read the actual text of the agreement, a very different picture emerges. This organizational chart outlines requirements for a military alliance. Notice what's missing: no integrated headquarters, joint command structure, or institutionalized doctrine. Also, targeted counterterrorism strikes do not meet the threshold of unprovoked external aggression, meaning an Indian response to terror wouldn't legally trigger collective defense. Without a unified command or a legal trigger for the specific threats India faces, this treaty functions primarily as a performative political shield, not an automatic tripwire for global conflict. The reality is that the three signatories didn't form this pact out of absolute mutual loyalty. They each showed up to the table with highly specific, self-serving geopolitical agendas. Let's start with Riyadh. Saudi Arabia is facing increasing missile threats from Yemen's Houthis and regional aggression from Iran, while feeling incredibly vulnerable about wavering Western security guarantees. They needed a defensive hedge to protect their long-term economic vision. Turkey sees a dual opportunity, aggressively expanding its lucrative defense export markets while simultaneously asserting diplomatic dominance across the Islamic world. And Pakistan's generals desperately need massive external economic bailouts and high-end technological upgrades for a struggling military. We can see the limits of this supposed loyalty by looking at recent history. During India's Operation Sindoor, despite decades of military cooperation with Pakistan, Saudi Arabia maintained complete silence and strict neutrality. Conversely, when Saudi Arabia faced direct drone and missile strikes from Houthi forces, Pakistan remained entirely passive, refusing to provide tangible military involvement. They have entirely different strategic priorities. Their historical inaction when their partners are actually under fire proves they are highly transactional actors, not a unified fighting force. So if we rule out a unified marching army, we have to ask, what exactly is the danger here? This flowchart illustrates the real issue: an integrated multi-billion-dollar technology pipeline. Saudi capital directly funds Turkey's advanced research and development, which then funnels straight into co-production and deployment facilities inside Pakistan. The output of that pipeline looks like this. We are looking at the rapid proliferation of unmanned aerial vehicles, electronic warfare systems, and advanced naval platforms. This mechanism artificially inflates Rawalpindi's conventional military capabilities, granting them high-tech asymmetric advantages, without requiring a single allied soldier to set foot on a battlefield. A well-funded, quietly operating technology pipeline is far more resilient and dangerous than a fragile, high-profile political alliance. For New Delhi, the immediate response is simple: do not panic, but keep your eyes peeled and your powder dry. The long-term answer requires aggressively fast-tracking domestic defense procurement. India must prioritize indigenous research into neutralizing advanced drone technologies and fielding its own complex electronic warfare systems. Simultaneously, the government must maintain an unyielding deterrence doctrine, making it absolutely clear that third-party treaties will never deter Indian responses to cross-border terrorism. Diplomatically, India must leverage its deep bilateral economic and trade ties with Riyadh, effectively creating a wedge that ensures Saudi Arabia's continual neutrality in South Asian conflicts. Ultimately, by combining firm counterterrorism deterrence in the Gulf with rapid, targeted technological innovation at home, India can neutralize this tripartite axis before it ever fully materializes.